All right, let's talk to Javier in Florida.
All right.
Javier, thank you for calling back. You want to talk about rights and who gets them? I'm super excited about this one.
Yeah. Javier?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so, man, I'm kind of, after the mini rant in the opening, I'm kind of wishing that I could switch my topic, but the grift, let me tell you, the grift is one of the things that has bothered me most about what I see Christianity, and it kind of hits close to home because my mother, who is still very much a very heavily religious person, her favorite channel is TBN.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I'm sure you know, TBN, it's like, I find it hard to believe that my mother, being so heavily religious, like I tell her, you do know TBN is basically the epitome of turning the temple into a marketplace, right? But she just won't accept it.
Yeah, I know that feel.
I mean, when you're in it, it is very hard to recognize just how much, mental gymnastics you need to do to justify it. So it's understandable in a way that I wish it wasn't. It's just, maybe at some point, if she ever does find herself outside of it, she can look back on it and go, oh, geez, but when you're in it, it's just so tough.
Yeah. But I'm honestly really, really intrigued by your initial question. So I would love to dive into that. What inspired you to call in, and what's your question here?
All right. Well, last Sunday inspired me to call in because I'm happy to keep conversations going. But for this particular topic, it was because the other day I was watching a debate, and the topic of the debate was, should America be a country under God? But during the debate, the topic sort of shifted because the Christian, it was a Christian versus atheist debate. The Christian, his argument was unalienable rights exist and they were given by God. Therefore, America has no basis for their rights if they aren't a nation under God. And the atheist response to this was basically that you don't have rights, or rather unalienable rights do not exist, and you only have rights that are either given to you or recognized by other people. And as I was listening to this, my position was different to both of them. And it is that the only rights you have are... I'm sorry, it sounds like somene's driving or something. But
there's a lot of wind happening over here. It's really bad.
It's howling right outside of the window.
That's yeah.
I'm going to do my best in post to remove it. But sorry about that.
But bear with us. What was your position here?
All right. So my position is that, of course, rights, they don't exist in the same way that for example, iron exists. They don't exist as things unto themselves. But in the sense of the idea of rights, the concept, you only really have them if they are defended either by yourself or someone else. And this, in my opinion, comes from basically a position of practicality, of what actually is. It's kind of similar to the nature of authority. You only really have authority if you can defend it, because if you say you have authority, but then you can't do anything to enforce it, you don't really have it. And in my opinion, it's the same thing with rights. In a country like the United States, for example, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights is supposed to be what defends the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the people who uphold it are supposed to defend it. For example, I believe the Fourth Amendment was the one for illegal search and seizure. I could be wrong about that, but that right, you have it because it's supposed to be defended by our criminal justice system. In the case that there is an illegal search and seizure, you should be able to have that put through the criminal justice system so people can take accountability. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my position. And what do you think?
Yeah, well, this could be like an hour-long TED talk, as far as I'm concerned. This is interesting. I think that on the one hand, the idea that we only have rights in terms of who is willing to step up and defend those rights and who is willing to stand up and demand those rights is, practically accurate. It is. That is how rights end up being retracted is people decide not to abide by them anymore, and there isn't enough pushback to defend them, right? So yeah, we are seeing right now rights that are being granted to some groups that are outside of what the, Bill of Rights would consider unalienable. And we are seeing some be stripped away from some groups, despite the fact that they are protected by the Bill of Rights. The interesting thing here, though, to me, is if you've ever read the book Sex and the Constitution by Jeffrey Stone. It's an amazing book. And he goes over the concept of how the Bill of Rights kind of came to be in the two sides of the argument, because a large portion of that first Congress was like, we do not agree with putting down these rights, because what that's going to be interpreted as later is these are the only rights that you get. And what happens in a situation where it is no longer sufficient? Are people outside of these 10 rights that we've laid out any more protected? Are they protected? If what the interpretation is these are the ones you get. This is it. And the other half, the one that won out, was spearheaded by saying, hey, this is a beginning point, right? These are the first 10. You can have additional ones on top of these, but these ones are unalienable, right? These ones are the ones that cannot be adjusted or gotten rid of. So it's interesting to talk about this in terms of what the actual debate was at the time and how that's coming into play now. From a philosophical standpoint, however, it's anyone's game. And I know that that's kind of where the theist seems to have been coming from, right? The theological and the philosophical end of things.
And it shows in our notes that you are a believer. Is that correct?
Yeah. My position is basically the same as last time.
Okay, so given that, I'm in a unique position now to put on the theist hat that I normally come against, because as somebody who has the beliefs you do, I can't help but wonder. So is killing for fun wrong? Is it immoral?
It depends on your moral framework. Now, you said you were putting on a theist hat.
Yes.
So I'm guessing there's a nice cross on there, maybe a picture of the Christ the Redeemer statue. So I guess in that sort of sense, it would depend on the circumstance. And this is something that I agree more so with atheists than theists.
Well, specifically murder for funsies, because you wanted to.
For funsies?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to? I personally think that's wrong.
Okay. Is that just your opinion?
Yeah, but I think that ultimately that I wouldn't say 100% moral relativist, but I'm not one of those people that says morality is objective because God says this, because that would technically just be subjective to what God wants,
True. And that's where it kind of plays in. I want to make sure that people who are watching are being, have kind of context here. That's absolutely right. So you don't really have a problem with the idea of moral relativism, because that is something that has been the core of most of the debates that you're talking about, is trying to pin this kind of straw man of relativism on the non-believer in order to try and promote the idea of a creator that hands down these moral tenets.
Well, yeah, but essentially, like I said, I don't think I say that I am a moral relativist, simply because I'm not a fan of that label and its baggage. But I do think that at the end of the day, it's really a matter of the objective you pick. If you want to be one of the good guys and pick human flourishing or something like that, then that's what's going to guide your morality.
Interesting, because within that framework, you've already set up a dichotomy that wouldn't be probably agreed upon by people who didn't value human flourishing, which is that they are the good guys. But yeah, I think ultimately, when it comes down to this conversation about rights, it's a practical one. And what the founding fathers tried to do was set up a baseline for the country that knew by experience, because of what other countries at the time were going through, that it was going to grow and change. And the concept of these rights as somehow God-given were not like that wasn't borne out in the literature of the time. That wasn't part of the conversation, was, well, does God give us these rights or not? It was a practical conversation around how do we make sure that we are not infringing on the rights of our people moving forward. So you can believe that God gives you these rights or inspired the founding fathers to write out these 10 or what have you. That's fine for you personally. But when you're having the actual conversation around which rights people should and shouldn't have, bringing God into the equation is actually antithetical to what the purpose of the Bill of Rights was in the first place. Because here's the thing. If the founding fathers were Christian in the way that the Christians today believe that they were, they wouldn't need a Bill of Rights, because they would have said, well, God just will grant these rights to whoever, to everybody, because that's just what God does and everybody will agree with that. So we don't even need to write it out, which is the argument for why they are reducing rights in various areas now. So the fact that the Bill of Rights exists is antithetical to the idea that God gives them out in any way, shape, or form. So that's my little rant on the subject.
We have someone in the comments who's just like, oh, so are you moral relativists? Are you? Huh? Call in. If you don't have the guts to call.
Josiah in Virginia has this question, so we'll go to him next.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But Javier,
oh my gosh, you're right.
This was a good conversation. Thank you for calling in again.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to calling and having the conversation. But before I go, I like to say I was being just a little facetious when I said one of the good guys. I'm not trying to build any dichotomy.
I've
gotcha.
Don't worry, Javier. The comments under that clip will crucify you regardless.
All right. Also, one last thing. Because the whole NFT thing, I got to say, to be honest, the only NFT that I've seen that had lasting value is that apparently there was a Godzilla NFT that actually included a proper character model of Godzilla you could mess around with. So you actually do get something for your money.
Damn, there you go.
Yeah. But with that, I will say goodbye and thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, Javier.
I like him.
Again, it's very interesting to talk with people who are theists, who don't agree with us on everything, and get their perspective. Because honestly, if Javier is going around saying these are practical rights that are given to humans by other humans, cool. That is a more appropriate way to approach government, and hats off. And
that was someone who's labeled as a theist, who kind of is taking a moral relativist-ish point of view, and now we have an atheist who might be taking
about
objective morality. I don't know how we're going to be able to separate these out as clips. Maybe we should do like a part 1 and then the part 2 the next day.
We'll make sure that they go out consecutively.
Yeah. If you're watching this clip, stay tuned, because tomorrow is the second part. Take care, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, let's talk.
Are we trying that now? We're just saying like and subscribe after every clip?
I'm trying here. Let's see. Let's find out. I don't know.
Okay, let's see.